You know what trend I would love to start seeing? You know that people who are in ICE have neighbors or family members who aren't really down with that. I would love to see them getting called out or, outed. I mean, we know that those guys aren't very smart a lot of the times. They're probably coming home in their little shitty costumes and everything. Your neighbors, you see them coming home from work or whatnot, right? A lot of times y'all have nicknames for them like Camo Kevin or Wannabe Wesley. Or if you just suspect that they might be one of those people, start up a conversation with them. You could be like, dude, have you been hearing about these raids? This is basically like the Gestapo all over again. It must take a really big piece of shit person to work a job like that. I can't imagine what their own family members must think of them. If that was somebody in my family, I would be so disappointed, not to mention embarrassed. Because these aren't law enforcement officers that are there to protect and serve. These are terrorists that are kidnapping people off the streets. Maybe if more of these guys started feeling like social pariahs, maybe they'd be more inclined to quit. Because it turns out a lot of these people are already miserable and all they need is one more reason to leave. And it's going to be a lot harder for that administration to do its agenda if they don't have anybody who wants to do the job. Because it turns out a lot of these guys are getting burned out because they're met with impossible quotas and people just don't like them. Can't imagine why. Not to mention, once he's gone, these agents, they could end up seeing jail time for what they've done. Not to mention, that job has to be just like draining on the soul, having to deal with screaming and crying and people angry at you all the time. But it's not like they were forced into the position. They applied. And they're probably not so much suffering as unraveling because deep down, they know what they are. And they don't get to be both the oppressor and the victim. They're going to have to pick a lane. And shame is the first sign that your soul is trying to claw its way out.